Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's going on, everybody? Thursday, July 3rd, 8 a.m. on the dot. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the Sliwa show on Hoops Talk. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for all the love over this free agency period. It's been fun putting up these videos. A lot of stuff going on. It's been fun. It's been interesting. And finally, we had some real action yesterday from the Lakers. So certainly makes some of our conversations and our topics a little bit more interesting. All right, let's go through just kind of the main routine here as we all sit here and try to enjoy our Thursday morning. Am I doing a show tomorrow? I don't even know if I'm doing a show tomorrow. Cheers, by the way. Cheers to everybody here. Tomorrow, obviously, 4th of July. Am I doing a show? I haven't actually even thought about it. I just look right now. I'm like, July 3rd. July 3rd. We'll see. Let's kind of see what's going on. I mean, not really that big of a deal if I do a show. It's just 1 hour. I mean, I still got the rest of my day if I make that happen. I'll figure that out as I go. We'll figure that out as I go. All right. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Just got over 32,000 subscribers. I think we're like 32,200, something like that. So thank you very much for doing that. Thank you for the support from our members. Really appreciate that as well. And let me kind of just give everyone a quick laydown of what some of our topics are going to be for today, and we'll get things started. Impact of the Ayton signing. So yesterday, right when that news dropped, I think maybe a half hour after the news dropped, I was getting all ready and putting some stuff up and basically preparing to go live. So obviously I went through a pretty good amount of details of just what I thought of the Ayton signing. Couple more, ripple effects from that. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. Maybe listeners here will get a little bit more of a chance to give their opinion on whether they thought the Ayton signing, just how big of an impact that could be for the Lakers. I think everybody knows. Nobody's really saying, oh, well, that's a dumb signing. I don't think anybody's saying that because the Lakers don't have any bigs. And it's very, very low risk. But we'll give our opinion. We'll give some additional thoughts on it. What's the next move? I got a list here of all the remaining free agents that are left. I know there are still obviously trade assets that the Lakers have that they can use in a deal. How aggressive do they get? How much are the Lakers saying to themselves, all right, let's also think about the future? I genuinely don't have that answer. I think there have been a couple things that they've done so far this summer. I'll use Jake LaRavia as an example instead of Dorian Finney-Smith. They're thinking of the future, and they're not thinking of locking themselves into a 4-year deal or something along those lines. So we'll get into kind of what's next for the Lakers, and obviously they're still going to need to be aggressive. I mean, you guys can look at the roster. I would see tweets yesterday, and it would be like, it's got actually kind of similar to my thumbnail. Bleacher Report had put this out, so giving them credit for that. But it basically had, let me see what it had. It had DeAndre Ayton, it had Luka, and it had LeBron. And it said, "Our Lakers title contenders." I mean, listen, it's the Lakers, and everybody jumps to conclusion and wants to make a hot story about it. The reality is, I still think there are plenty of teams in the Western Conference better than them, which is why I ask, what's the next move? What are they going to do next? Brian Windhorst was talking a little bit about LeBron's future. Really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting stuff. So we'll spend some time on that. I think there were some really good quotes. Bronny talked yesterday. They did have practice, and Summer League is going to be starting, and that the Cali Classic is going to be starting as well. How many teams do we have in the Cali Classic? I guess my main question is how many teams actually from California are in the Cali Classic? We got an email yesterday. Lakers sent out who the roster is going to be and everything else. The Cali Classic includes the Golden State Warriors. Makes sense. The Miami Heat. Okay. Did not know they were going to be part of the Cali Classic. And the San Antonio Spurs. Okay. So we have basically teams that have nothing to do with the Cali Classic, which actually makes it interesting because I do think there's some interesting teams to keep an eye out for. But point I was trying to make is Bronny James talked and was asked a little bit about the situation, and we'll kind of get his opinion in regards to the situation on LeBron. Sammy Long every Thursday comes on the show. He'll come on about 8:30. We'll chop it up a little bit, talk what the Lakers have done the last couple of days. We'll get his opinion on things. A couple things on NBA. Knicks finally hire a coach. They hire Mike Brown. Couple NBA news rumors, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. All right, let me Let me see a couple of the comments here. Title contenders, but we're not title favorites, okay? Some analysts think the Ayton deal not good for the Lakers, okay? We'll get into that. I don't really see what the downside is, but that's fine. Let's see what else we got here. What else are people saying? Low risk. Good morning, Al. Ayton, low risk, high reward, and no assets given up. Yeah, I think that honestly says a lot about what that deal was. I believe Ayton will be a most improved candidate. All right, so people giving their thoughts here. If you're here on the live stream, thank you for being here. If you're here after the show and you're watching this, thank you for watching the show as well. Please subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get started. Impact of Deandre Ayton signing. Only a couple. I would say only a couple more layers left in this entire thing. And one of the themes that I had yesterday that I really do think is important, it's up to Ayton. I mean, at the end of the day, the Lakers are going to put him in a position to succeed. He's going to play for a franchise that's going to give him wild exposure. Yes, is the exposure, can it also be negative? Yeah, if you're not playing well or if the team isn't playing well, maybe it can have some negative effects. These are not good examples, but I'm going to give you some examples. Cam Reddish signed the Lakers on a 1+1. And the idea was, and signed for the minimum, the idea was he can give himself an opportunity to kind of showcase what he can do with the Lakers and then see if he can get another contract somewhere else. Well, that didn't work out for him. Jackson Hayes, I don't know what's going to happen, but he was similar, a 1+1, and he had to opt into the second year of his contract because there weren't that many suitors out there for him. It doesn't always work for everybody that's signing a 1+1. Ayton just signed technically a 2-year deal, but it's a 1+1 in the sense that he's got the option in the second year. Ayton is not Cam Reddish, and Ayton is not Jackson Hayes. Ayton is a former #1 pick. He's a 26-year-old. Lakers are dying for a center. He does have a skill set. He does have mad potential. Whether he's going to be able to use all that potential with the Lakers or not, we'll have to sit back, wait, and see. But when I say it's all on Ayton's shoulders, what I mean by that is one of two things are going to happen by the time this upcoming season is over. Either Deandre Ayton has created, he's recreated his value around the NBA, recreated because he at one point had a lot of value and still probably has value. I mean, there were clearly teams that wanted to try to sign DeAndre Ayton. It just kind of came down to the situation that he felt was going to be best, most exposure. How can I get a bigger contract when this is all said and done, when the dust settles? And it's going to be up to him. It's on his shoulders. So one of the scenarios is he recreates his own value. And the other scenario is, yeah, DeAndre Ayton just probably is going to be a journeyman in the NBA and might never find a real home. One of those two things are going to happen. If you told me which one do I think is more likely, I think he's going to recreate his value in the league. And I think he will put himself in a position where he doesn't have to take that. He doesn't have to get that player option for 8 and change that the Lakers would be offering him in year 2, because there's going to be other suitors out there and other teams out there that think, okay, let's bring this guy in. Look what he did with the Lakers. He was clearly helping them. Let's bring him in for 2 years, $25 million or whatever. It doesn't matter what the contract is, but that he outplays his very, very, very cheap, low-risk contract with the Lakers. For anybody out there that says, that this is not a good fit for the Lakers or they shouldn't have brought DeAndre Ayton in, I mean, if you told me that, hey, every center in the NBA is available, then Ayton is not going to be my first choice. But I think based on the circumstances, based on they could have gotten a lot older, based on Luka Doncic and how you feel like, okay, is this the right player that he can play alongside with, based on the potential that Ayton has, based on trying to recreate his value, I don't really have that many negatives about the Ayton signing. I really don't. You're getting him for 8 and change. A center of this caliber, you're not going to find in the market. You didn't have to give up any assets to grab him. You literally have all of your assets remaining to grab him or in order to make more moves moving forward. So I think there's a lot of positives to this. I really, really feel like there's a lot of positives to this. And I can't really find, if somebody wants to say, hey, Ayton isn't going to be that guy, you could say that. You could make the argument, and I was reading some quotes yesterday. Was was Jason Quick that had the article in The Athletic, and it was coming from the Portland Trailblazers, or he covers the Portland Trailblazers, and there were certainly some quotes there that weren't exactly the nicest things to say about DeAndre Ayton. All right, well, if Ayton doesn't work out, or if Ayton becomes a locker room problem, or if Ayton is just more of a headache, whatever the case is, it's 8 on the books this year and it's 8 on the books next year. And frankly, then that will really, really hurt DeAndre Ayton moving forward. So very low risk. I think there's high upside. And I don't know what else you want the Lakers to do, because I don't think there were going to be too many more options when it came to, obviously what the Lakers were going to do if they didn't get DeAndre Ayton. That was kind of the funny thing, that over the last couple of days, there was this sense of like, what if they don't get Ayton? What if Ayton decides to sign with the Indiana Pacers, or he goes to another team and he surprised us all and he's like, nope, I'm going somewhere else? Then I don't know what the backup plan would have been. I know Rob Pelinka would have been dragged through the mud from that perspective. And, a lot of people obviously would have been wildly upset about the situation, but that's not the case. It's not anything that anybody has to worry about now. And the Lakers can kind of go about their business and try to see what's next. Let me read a couple of the comments, and then we'll get into what exactly is next from here. All right, let's see what we got here. We got a new member, Clarinet. Whether real name or just YouTube, that's pretty creative right there. Thank you for being a member. I really, really appreciate that. Very, very nice of you to do so. For those who don't know, you could be an MVP member. It's $3 a month. Everybody I have on there, which I will tell you right now, I mean, just straight, hey, Al, we just want to support the channel. I mean, that's really, anybody that's on there is literally on there just to support the channel. And I really appreciate that. So thank you for becoming a member. Let me lob in for those who are considering it. Let me put it in the chat here real quick. Here's a link here if you want to become a member. But thank you very much for doing so. I appreciate it. I've got people now. I think I've been doing memberships for about 3 or 4 months, and a lot of people that have been members from the start. So I appreciate it. Any new members are, of course, very, very welcome. All right, let's see what we have. Only thing else that can happen is sign and trade Austin. Reeves isn't going anywhere, guys. I just don't think Reeves is going anywhere. I think most people understand too. That's just not happening at this point. Ayton doesn't have a Mamba mentality. You know who else doesn't have a Mamba mentality? Many players in the NBA don't have a Mamba mentality. We'll see. Like I said, you get to a point, I think, in your career and whatever it is that you're doing, and there's that fork in the road. You can either resurrect your career, or you can say, man, you know what? This just isn't my passion and this isn't my life. And we're going to find out with DeAndre Ayton. Here's the one thing that I would caution DeAndre Ayton. You're only 26 years old. 26 years old. That is so young. And he could easily, let's just say DeAndre Ayton played for another 5-6 years. He could take his career to 31, 32 years old, and he could pocket another $25, $30, $50 million easy in today's NBA with some of these contracts. Maybe you're just making a business decision and taking it from there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Ayton will be a very good fit. Some people want to team up Marvin Bagley with Ayton. Laker fans just hyping Ayton up, but once they watch him play, he will be on the trading block. Keith, let me tell you something. I don't know if Laker fans are hyping him up, or it's just there's nobody else to really talk about. There's just nobody else from a center perspective. I think that also has a lot to do with it. So that's something that I would keep in mind. I do agree. I think there's just too much of, definitely too much of the chatter of like, well, they got Ayton. Are they better than Denver? No, they're not. Well, they got Ayton. They must now have a chance against the Thunder. No, they got to make more moves if that's going to be the case. So I'm not going that far from that perspective. Okay, what's next for the Lakers? Let's spend a little bit of time on that. Here's what we got here. Wiggins or Herb Jones, Melton minimum. So I saw this. Let me actually go through this real quick. Here's some of the free agents that are still available. And I think one of the main points I want to get across, I'm grabbing this, by the way, from Legion Hoops, has some of the free agents that are still available. I think for me, what's the main thing moving forward is they still have a ways to go in free agency. Now, they may take that, they may take a more aggressive approach, or they may kind of pump the brakes and say, all right, well, we're still not going to get ourselves into these crazy contracts, into these long-term contracts. I'm actually curious to see what Lakers do moving forward, because I also think it tells the story of what they think of this year and what they think of the future, and how much of this is accommodating to LeBron and how much of this is LeBron has no say in anything. So I think there's still a lot of interesting storylines for the rest of the offseason. Here's some free agents that's still available. Damian Lillard. I don't know what he's going to do. I know that Lakers have interest in him. There were some reports out there among many other teams. He basically wouldn't play this season, maybe towards the playoffs. All right, Dame would come on the minimum. So I think every team's going to be interested in Damian Lillard. The most interesting name to me at this point, at least from a free agent perspective, I'm not talking trades yet, is Al Horford. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. What was the story? Lakers are reportedly in strong pursuit of Al Horford. The one thing I do like about Al Horford, just to be honest with everybody, how much can he potentially help a guy like DeAndre Ayton? You got another grown-up in the room. You got a pro's pro. You got literally a true professional who's widely respected around the league, certainly widely respected in Boston. Can he come in, help the Lakers, and also help DeAndre Ayton? Give you 15 minutes a game, come off the bench. Now you got your two bigs, and still, again, you're able to use your cash, and you still got all those assets that you need. So Al Horford is another name that's listed out there. Let me see the rest of some of these. And I know some people are going to look at them. Gary Payton II. I'm just going to look. Cam Thomas. Now, Cam Thomas is a little bit different because he is a restricted free agent. Who else is out there? Thomas Bryant, Mo Wagner. I'm just Jackson Hayes. Just going through some of the ones here as we look at. There's a few names out there. D'Anthony Melton, which I've heard his name a couple different times. There's a few names. So we'll see what the Lakers do moving forward. I guess the question now, and I'm going to go back to, what their needs are here for a quick second. They need another center. Well, I think we all know that. We all understand that. They need another center. What are they going to do there? The more I think about it, the more I kind of like the idea and the concept of Al Horford. But I get it when people say, Al, way too old, not going to make sense. I think I like him more because it's the pairing with a player like DeAndre and how much impact he can have on him personally, and just be there for a little bit of guidance for a 26-year-old that's a former number one pick and still trying to figure out some things in the league. After that, you start looking at Lakers need wings. We know they drafted a wing. We understand that they've been in some trade conversations for wings. As we sit here today, here's where the Lakers are as far as some of the trade assets. I was on, Bobby Marks came on the show yesterday. Shout out to him. That was awesome to have him on. Bobby Marks came on the show, and he started kind of listing out that the Lakers do have flexibility. This is before they signed Ayton. And I think his question was, and the question for everybody is, are the Lakers, how are they viewing this year? Are the Lakers walking into this year and they're putting all their chips in the center of the table and saying, let's go. Whatever we got, we're throwing it into this year. Or are they going to be a little bit more strategic? And are they also going to say, well, guys, after this year, probably LeBron's final year with the Lakers. That's what everybody believes now. It's going to be LeBron's final year with Lakers. There's actually some people out there, I'll read some stuff from Brian Windhorst. I don't even think there's a guarantee that Bron, A, would be a Laker by the time next season starts, or would be a Laker after the trade deadline. You don't know. This is the first time where I think it's a legitimate question. So the question is, how much do you go all in on this season based off of what you have and based off the signals that the Lakers and the front office are trying to give that, look, there's going to be life after Luka, and we got to make sure that we still have assets so that we could start building around Luka Doncic. Well, here's what they got. Rui, Gabe, and Maxi Kleber, all expiring contracts. We know that. We've already heard rumors about Rui Hachimura. We heard that with some of the trade chatter around Andrew Wiggins and what that would look like. So there's, one example there. You still got Dalton Knecht. You still got your future number one pick that's in 2031. How do the Lakers view these assets at this moment? Are they looking at these assets and are they telling themselves they're going to be very, very strategic with how they use them? Is there more of a chance now that they say, no, I don't know if we want to trade Dalton Knecht. I think we want to keep him. Are they looking at 2031 and saying, "Nah, there's no trade out there for us to give up a first-round pick for now, that far into the future? No, we'd rather hold on to these picks than just kind of ship these things away the way the Lakers are accustomed to doing it." And I will tell you, in today's NBA, there's never been a more important time to value your picks. There's never been a more important time to value some of your draft picks and develop them. By the way, while I'm doing this, the Lakers could easily just kind of flip the script and say, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. Who cares about the pick? Who cares about Dalton Knecht? That could easily happen as well. But I think based on what the Lakers do over the next, couple of weeks, that's going to tell a lot there. That really is going to tell a lot in regards to what their game plan is going to be for the short term and for the future. All right, let me get a couple of supers in here. How does Ayton signing affect LeBron? How does it affect it? I mean, if LeBron is here and LeBron is on this team, it helps LeBron tremendously, because then LeBron doesn't have to play the 5, or LeBron actually has a center that he can rely on the defensive side. I mean, I think it has a tremendous effect on LeBron in a positive way. So I think that's the only way it affects it. Thank you for the super. I appreciate that. Here's another one. What is the word on Whitmore on the Lakers? I don't think that's happening. I don't. And that's just kind of a personal opinion. I know there's this like 7-team deal transaction that's going to be going down. I think teams that, got some young studs and teams that think that they have players that could be a part of the future. I don't know why. We'll see. We'll see what eventually happens. I will just tell you this. I think a player like Cam Whitmore, he's got talent. He's super young. I don't know why teams just would give up talent like that. It doesn't make all that much sense to me. I understand they got a stacked roster, so it could lead to different things. Get another one of these supers in here. Guys, we're missing a key piece. We now have that piece. We'll average 130 points. We just need a wing defender, but no team can guard us. By the way, Jermail, I appreciate the super very much. I appreciate the 5 spot. I don't know if that's I don't know if I want the Lakers trying to drop 130, and that's what's going to be predicated on winning a game. You got to have defense. You do. I do agree with you that they need a wing defender, and maybe that's where a player like Andrew Wiggins comes into play. But you got to have defenders. If you're going to have any success in the league, your success has to also be built on a combination of being able to play defense. And yes, you need offense, but go look at the teams that I know maybe the Indiana Pacers are not the best example, but they had moments where they locked down as well. I'm not comfortable trying to be a team that outscores every other squad out there. They're going to need defenders. They are. That's just going to be the reality of it. Okay, I want to jump to another story here real quick. I mentioned Sammy's going to come on in about a half hour or so, at 8:30, so in a few minutes or so. Let me jump to a story here real quick on LeBron. Brian Windhorst had a lot to say yesterday about LeBron. Let me read a couple of these things off. Here's what he said. He said, I would say that it's uncertain, talking about LeBron. One thing I feel pretty good about today, although things can pivot, is LeBron's time with the Lakers is beginning to come to an end. They are beginning to move apart. You can actually argue that started when they traded for Luka. I know everybody thought LeBron was in on that. I know I said at the time I didn't believe that LeBron was in on that. I didn't know what else to tell you. Or I don't know what else to tell you. I was not in on it. He wasn't against it. I think he was shocked they traded Anthony Davis, but LeBron was not part of that decision process. That was a move away from LeBron at the center of the team. Just to continue to just that one piece that he said there, LeBron's time with the Lakers is beginning to come to an end. They are beginning to move apart. I think there's a lot of truth to this. I really do. And he had said something earlier, I think on SportsCenter yesterday, something along the lines of Lakers are looking at his contract as an expiring contract. He's an expiring He's on the Lakers, we know, for one more year for $52.6 million, and then nothing is guaranteed after that. I think it's the right move from the Lakers. I really do. I think getting back into another 1+1, I think giving LeBron basically the keys to the franchise at age 40 doesn't make that much sense. I think having him still continue to dictate a lot of the decisions or wave his power around the franchise, I don't think that makes sense as well. I think the Lakers, and I said this, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago, something along those lines. I didn't think it was going to happen. I said the best thing for the Lakers is LeBron just picks up his final year of his contract and they don't get into another 1+1. And the reason why I said that was it just kind of gives the signals of like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. I mean, they're going to eventually, Luka's 26 years old. That it's clear that chapter is eventually going to move on. And the question is, how much can LeBron, Luka, DeAndre Ayton, Pelinka, JJ Redick, how much can they all get from each other this upcoming year? And that's a fair question. Now, there are also some hesitations. Some of the hesitations I would tell you is, can you really put together a roster this season that can compete with OKC, Houston, and Denver? Can you? I don't think today they can. Now, can they make another couple of moves here? Can they go get another wing defender? Can they sign up a backup center? Can they put themselves in a position where they become a lot more interesting and the weaknesses that they had in the playoffs, they slowly but surely push those things to the side and push those things away? Yeah, I think they have a chance of doing that. And then they'll also put themselves in a position where come trade deadline, they can assess everything. But the biggest question that once free agency is done, once Lakers make all their moves, is how is LeBron going to feel about the situation? Is LeBron going to want to finish his career with the Lakers? Is LeBron going to be happy with the predicament in the situation? I don't have an answer for that. But I think the Lakers have signaled, we love you. We respect you. You've done so much for the franchise. You helped us win an NBA championship. But it's coming to an end. And by the time this year comes, this upcoming season, the 2025-2026 season, I think now everybody would be shocked that LeBron is with the Lakers past this season. It feels like that's the trajectory that it's on. Maybe something changes, but somebody like Brian Windhorst, who's as connected as he is, you can read some of those quotes. They're he's not stuttering with any of his words. No, they're all pretty solid here. One other thing that I'm going to mention, Bronny, yesterday, Lakers had practice, and it was kind of a summer league practice, kind of getting ready here for some of the games that they're going to have. Bronny will obviously be a part of that. Here's what he said. This is what Bronny said, and of course he was going to be asked about it. Bronny said this. He said that actually one of my friends called me talking about where I was going to play next season, what I was going to do because they saw my dad in the news. I didn't see it. He called me. I was like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. There's a lot of stuff going around that I don't pay attention to. We don't really talk about it much. I think when stuff like that does come up, he just tells me not to worry about it. Or to not even pay attention to it and just lock into what you have going on right now. And that's what I'm going to do. Get better, keep myself focused. I think it's good that he tells me to not pay attention to that stuff. Listen, Bronny's going to be asked this question. Bronny has been put in awkward positions before just because he's the son of LeBron James and they both play on the Los Angeles Lakers. I've said this before. I kind of sympathize with Bronny that he is not on a team where he could just worry about his own development and his own career and not have to answer questions about his dad. But that's the situation that he's in. And I'm rooting for Bronny. And, simple as that. He's got to answer these questions. I think he answers them professionally. I think, he seems to be no drama. Seems like he just comes in, he clocks in and he clocks out. He'll have another summer league under his belt in the next, month or so that he can continue to learn off of. I'm sure he's going to get plenty of opportunities in the G League. I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get with the Lakers this upcoming season. But Bronny obviously clearly deflecting and not really a topic that he's going to get into. And I don't blame him for, one bit. I don't think it's a conversation for him to have either way. All right. Before we go any further here, I want to talk about one of our partners here. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you for them hosting me on Monday. I was there at the studios and really, really just a great partnership. So here on YouTube, obviously, he was with me when I was over at 710 ESPN, and he's still supporting the channel, so I'm very appreciative of it. What do they do, and how can he potentially help any of our listeners? Very simple, actually. He's an injury attorney. I hope nobody ever needs an injury attorney, but it happens. In Southern California, you got a lot of injury attorneys trying to get your attention. I could just tell you, somebody that I've known for about 5 years now, if you're in a serious situation, a serious injury, a wrongful death case, a situation or a predicament went on with you or a family member, I'm going to give you a website that you can go to, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. He can help you. Just as simple as that. Get a free consultation. You don't have to pay anything, any of that stuff. He'll walk you through what your case looks like. He'll walk you through why all insurance companies are trying to settle, and they're trying to give you the least amount of money possible. This is what Brad Wallace does for a living. This is how he has such a great reputation in the state of California. He can help somebody, by the way. So not just in LA or not just in Southern California, the entire state of California, and he could potentially help you. No gimmicks, no, is he trying to put his, face everywhere and trying to bless? No, he's very strategic with what he does, kind of works under the radar. I think fits perfect with the channel because of those reasons. And again, the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. And I'm sure he can help you if you're ever in a tough situation. And at least you can just reach out to him for that free consultation and take it from there. Okay. Let's get back to a couple of our topics here. Let me just check one thing out with some of the comments. Let me see what we have here. Okay, I think we've hit on everybody so far with some of these comments. I know everybody wants to give their thoughts on the Lebron stuff, the Bronny stuff. That stuff is fine. I completely agree with that. But let's welcome in our guest. So every Thursday, we got Sammy who joins the show.
Alan, what's up, dude?
What's going on? How are you doing?
Doing good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. We had spent a little time together on Tuesday. I was down in SD, and Sammy and I. Sammy does some sports talk radio down in San Diego, so I filled in, and Sammy was driving the thing. And Sammy's becoming a little pro here. He's kind of a young pro over there.
Yesterday they were all like, "Where's Sliwa?" They're like, "We've heard enough of Sammy." They're like, "Get Sliwa back here."
No, they probably didn't say that. They were good. What were they going to hear me bitching about the Padres? I mean, that's enough. I did that for 2 straight hours. Enough about that. All right, buddy. So since the last time we talked, Ayton was not with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Everyone was panicking, and they were trying to figure out what they were going to do with the big spot. Just talk to me. What did you make of what happened yesterday? Ayton deciding to join the Lakers.
I'm excited. I mean, listen, Deandre Ayton, we know kind of the struggles he's had, not living up to the number 1 overall pick in Phoenix, and there's a lot of turmoil there. And then Phoenix, or Portland, kind of up in his production, but then people are going to go, that's on a bad team. And we've seen guys really have, he went from 13 points a game to about 22 points a game down the stretch there for Portland last year. Mm-hmm. He averaged 16 points per game in the playoffs during that Phoenix Suns run they had when they lost
a deep run too. These were meaningful games. You're in the finals. You had a deep playoff run.
And it's like, I mean, I was listening to you yesterday. It's a great point. I know people are frustrated with the whole player option thing, where if he picks it up, that means that he probably didn't have that good of a season, because if he has a great year, he's re-hitting the market again, and he's going to be commanded big money. But listen, anything's better. The Lakers needed something. Per reports of The Athletic, Luka's excited about him, and the Lakers got a center, so I'm happy about it.
And I say this about the player option. Honestly, the risk is really in DeAndre Ayton's hands. It's not in the Lakers' hand. So if Ayton is the one and his agent is trying to negotiate, listen, if this doesn't go well, we need to at least guarantee ourselves $8 million for next year. A lot of reports were talking about how the Lakers just want to be smart about 2027 and how they want to get a lot of money off their books by the time you get to 2027. Giannis will be available at that point. I think the more important thing is just bring them on your team and figure it out. It's not like they have 25 guaranteed for. Let me give you guys an example here, okay? Gabe Vincent makes $11 million a year, okay? So just to kind of comp this out here and see how little the Lakers have used Gabe Vincent, how little impact he's had on the Lakers. Rui Hachimura makes $17 million a year. That would be twice as what you got Ayton for next year. I know those players are going to come off the books. Kleba's around 11 or something along those lines. 8 a year is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So I would pay zero attention to that player option. And, like you just mentioned here, if Ayton is a Laker at $8 million next year, then I'm really worried about the rest of his career.
Totally. And the thing with Ayton that I think could be interesting, and people, the haters might go, he had trouble in Phoenix and Portland, so why is he going to fit in LA? He's not expected to be the guy. And there's something that comes with expectations there.
Yeah.
Being the number 1 overall pick, having Luka Doncic behind you as the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Trae Young was in that draft.
All he's got to do is do his job. That's it.
Right.
He has a specific job, and all he has to worry about, if his job is you just got to take out the trash every day, he's just got to be the best person to take out the trash. He doesn't have to worry about anything else.
And I don't know how you feel. I'm curious what you think about like what the Lakers are doing.
Sammy, how I feel is none of your business, okay? My feelings are none of your business. Okay, go ahead.
Noted. But I actually like that the Lakers have kind of put this. The Lakers have been in this weird limbo state the last few years where they're trying to win now, but then they're also trying to look for the future. But because of LeBron's age, and he keeps getting older, but he's still playing at an excellent level. I love that the Lakers kind of made it known, hey, we're trying to really gear up for 2027 with the max salary level spot. There was reports that they didn't really go at LeBron too much with the long-term extension. They were going to let him run out. And I like the message that's sending, new ownership. Listen, LeBron's still a fantastic player, but at some point it feels like we can run out of this thing. And I'm excited that the Lakers are really building around Luka and make it a concerted effort to, while trying to win this year as well with Ayton.
Do you think, it's interesting because I think we're going to find out a little bit more about what their plans are for the future based off of what they do with, some of the draft capital that they have. Let me tell you this. I think I'm now less surprised. I'm not telling you this is going to happen, but I'm less surprised now if they don't trade Dalton Knecht, and I'm less surprised now if they keep that first rounder. I think there's a little bit of, I don't know if this has anything to do with new ownership. I have no idea if they're just kind of starting to say to themselves, we got to stop panicking every 6 months and just take a deep breath and try to think a little bit more long-term. And by the way, they could very well end up trading Dalton Knecht and that first rounder, and everything I'm saying means nothing. But there are a little bit of signals that I think are coming off that are starting to say, it's good to be younger. It's good to have draft capital. It's good to not panic every 6 months. Let me give you an example. I thought not signing Dorian Finney-Smith to a 4-year deal was smart. And this is somebody that was praising the DFS trade, that thought DFS was going to be a part of the future for the Lakers. There were some reports out there that the Lakers were only willing to give him 2 years. That's smart. I'd rather have, if you told me, take DFS for 4 years and $53 million, or take Jake LaRavia for 2 years, $12 million. Kind of a no-brainer to me. I'd rather have Jake LaRavia, who's in his mid-20s while DFS is 32 years old. LeBron has had the power in every single situation in his career, as he should. Completely fine. I have no problem with that. It seems like this is the first time where anybody has told LeBron, you got 1 year left on your contract, and that's what we're focused on. We're not focused on anything further. Do you think there's a little bit of a shift in how the Lakers are thinking in regards to not just today, but actually thinking about tomorrow?
Yeah, we're completely seeing a shift. LeBron is very good at pushing his, media narratives out, and he's definitely got clutch sports, and he's got a lot of people with him, and Rich Paul. I think it's got to be a little bit of an ego check. It's not a shot to LeBron. LeBron's still a fantastic player, but it is smart. At some point you can't keep, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it to be different. Like, the Lakers had to make a big change and just keep. Remember the days of us signing Carmelo Anthony and Rajon Rondo and all this stuff. So I heard people complain about the LaRavia thing. He's 23 years old. He's a spot-up shooter who, averaged about 20 minutes a game, about 7 points, 4 rebounds, and also is not as bad defensively as people give him credit for. Averaged about 2 steals a game, which I thought was kind of a interesting stat, with people kind of trying to rag him for not having the DFS thing. I'm all for getting younger, 23-year-old for a 32-year-old. And to your point, Dorian Finney-Smith, great player, but it feels like that contract after 2 years we would have been looking at and going, is this another Gabe Vincent contract? Is this another one that we're looking at and the Lakers can't make moves? So I love what they're doing for the future.
All right. What do you, I think this is, we mentioned Jake LaRavia, and I mentioned this to you yesterday. What do you think? You know, I know that name is going to kind of go under the radar. What do you think he brings to the Lakers?
You add a spot-up shooter, and whether it's LeBron or Luka or Reeves, getting a spot-up shooter in the corner is a big deal. One thing, according to like the NBA's tracking data, I found the stat, LaRavia only took 10 mid-range shots all last year. So I take that as a positive. This is a guy who knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. If you look at his shot chart, every single make is either at the rim for a layup or it's at the three-pointer spot. So you don't need a guy with shot creation. You have Luka Doncic. You have LeBron for right now, Austin Reeves. The Lakers don't need another guy like that. They need a guy who can sit in the corner and hit threes. And it's something you kind of said earlier. It makes Knecht more expendable because now you have a legit shooter that's coming in here where Knecht, if there's a good deal, because I think before you're looking at like you're going to trade Dalton. He's the asset everyone wants, but are you really going to trade a 22-year-old sharpshooter that's probably only going to get better? I think LaRavia gives you some flexibility there. With the report this morning, what did you think of the Wiggins?
Give me the details of what that was. And I know you had sent me a link to it, but just so everybody that's listening in.
It was per the Athletic. So it was reported by Buha that the Lakers, if they were going to get Wiggins, would take Rui. The Heat want Hachimura, Knecht, and a first-round pick. They want a steep price. Would you do that with LaRavia here now?
Okay, so let's kind of break that down here for a quick second. I know Wiggins has 2 years basically left on his contract. He gets 28 this year, this upcoming year, and then 30 next year, a player option, and then the Lakers kind of still have that flexibility that they want to get money off their books by 2027. And I want to say he's 30 years old at this point. So that basically, here's what you're trading. And I think Rui has value. I'm not trying to discount Rui's value. The only problem I have is I don't know how the Lakers make that work with. They're going to have to add something else to make the dollars work. I think they're going to have to add something else. But I think Dalton Knecht, a first-round pick, Rui Hachimura, you get Andrew Wiggins. Let's say they make that deal. What do you think that does for their chances in the Western Conference? I'm curious. To me, it sounds like a lot to give up, and I don't know if I have to have Wiggins. I guess my question is this. Does that put them in the ballpark of OKC, Denver, Houston, and some of these other teams? Because there are so many good teams in the Western Conference. How much of that is, or how much with that deal does that put them in the ballpark with some of these other teams?
I think
it feels like a lot, but
it feels like a lot to me. I think it puts them in the conversation, but kind of back to the LeBron thing, I think we're going to see how much influence LeBron still has in the organization. Because if you're LeBron James, you're looking at that deal. You don't care about a first-round pick.
No, you're saying do it in a heartbeat, grab Wiggins. Yep.
Right, and Knecht didn't even play in the postseason, so we'll see if JJ has the value if he's looking for Knecht to be a real contributor this year. And then Rui Hachimura, even though I like Rui, but Rui can be frustrating at times. He's very, very. Sometimes he's completely on, sometimes he's off. So it's kind of I think LeBron's might be swapping Wiggins for Rui, so he'd want to do that. But yeah, I think is LeBron controlling the organization, wanting to win right now? Yes, for this year, would it probably help put you a little bit better, Wiggins? But I don't think you do that. I'm all for the build for the future. I don't think that getting rid of a younger player, Rui Hachimura, a younger player in Dalton Knecht, and a first-round pick for a guy who's a really good player, but I don't think that's not Giannis.
You know what's funny, and I like how you put it, that deal would kind of signal a little bit of, well, what are they doing here? Are they all in on this year, or are they, like I said, I feel like for the first time that you ever see, what those hamster wheels where you're just kind of running and running and running. I feel like for the first time, Lakers kind of stepped off the wheel and just said, we've been running for so long and we're still in the same place. Can we just kind of like take a look here for a quick second? My only thing with doing a deal like that, my only problem with that is if you're going to make a deal where you feel like you're giving up some good assets, You're going to put a player on your contract for 2 more years. Remember, Rui comes off the books next year, so there's obviously an advantage if you do trade him from that perspective. But my only issue with a deal like that, if that's not putting you in the conversation with some of the other elite in the Western Conference, is it a lateral move with just maybe a small step forward? I think if you told me that they decided, no, we're just not giving up that first rounder. No, we're just not giving up Dalton Knecht. And no, we're going to use Rui in a different package that maybe the cost is a little bit different. I'd actually think there's a little bit more. I think there would be a little bit more responsibility, maybe I would call it. And I'm not telling you Wiggins isn't a good player. I think Wiggins is a really nice player, and he's a defender, and he's a wing, something that the Lakers need.
And I see the chat kind of saying, if this was like a player like RJ Barrett, a younger player, I'd be more apt to do it because you're getting a young player that's going to grow with this team.
I think Wiggins is 30, so he'll be on your books till he's 32, which is not crazy, but it's clearly he's not a 25-year-old that you're like, okay, could be here for long term.
But to your point about the hamster wheel, it's like they're finally stepping off. Don't just run back, because if there's a report about LeBron wants to, I'm not saying that's happening, but LeBron wants a wing defender or rushing because you want to make sure you're in the top 4. I see the chat saying it. This is a team that finished number 3 in the West with Luka getting traded midseason, missing multiple weeks, and then LeBron being hurt for a little bit. There's a lot of moving parts, not even having a single center. So it feels like a little bit overreaction. I'd like to see what this team could do. And if you're looking at the deadline next year, I don't know about you, Alan, but I would play Knecht a bunch the first half and try to get his trade value up if you're really going to deal him, because dealing him now is probably the least trade value he's going to have, considering you didn't trust him to play in the playoffs and what happened with the whole Mark Williams situation, him being benched for a little bit. Just everyone, if you're patient, wait for the deadline, I think you could get a much better return than just Andrew Wiggins.
All right, let's see what people are saying. Pass on Wiggins unless it's Andre Wiggins. Wiggins is nice, but I'm not giving up 2 players. Knecht, which has a chance to be really good, and a first-round pick. No, thank you, Pat Riley. By the way, that is kind of funny. Isn't there certain teams where you're just like weary of making a move with?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like anytime there's just smart front up. Like if you told me the Lakers made a move with the Kings, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. If they made a move with, I don't know, Charlotte, you're like, okay, that's fine.
Perfect.
But once you start getting to those franchises where you're like, why does it feel like they always win in every deal? I don't want to make a move with them.
It was like when the Patriots, when Belichick, he'd move off these great defenders and be like, why are you cutting Jamie Collins? And then he'd get toasted in the next game and he signed with Cleveland. It was like every single time you're like, they know something.
They know something. Or there's somebody else that they got that's ready to go. Let's see what this. Problem is Lakers need quality and quantity. Can't win if you have no bench. You know what sucks for Dalton Knecht? I'll tell you what sucks for him. I think everybody has if I say Dalton Knecht to a Laker fan, basically people don't remember anything of what he did early last year, where he was literally the storyline around the Lakers. And in some cases, sometimes the storyline of the NBA, he was dropping 25 plus. He had a 35 plus game. Knecht was a cool story early on. The problem with Knecht right now, and I don't know, but anytime I say Dalton Knecht, the only time we talk about him is getting rid of him. Is literally trading him, and nobody else says anything else about him. I think what will be interesting for him is there a world that he survives all of this and can just walk into the season and play basketball and be a Los Angeles Laker and kind of he's going to be in his 2nd year in the NBA. He's so raw, and mentally what this dude has had to go through since his time with the Lakers, it's just I feel bad for him.
Well, to that point, this one's interesting with JJ, because like this is the guy who JJ should be able to develop. I mean, he was JJ Redick. That's what, like, a sharpshooting 3. That's the kind
of wildly more athletic than him, and had more than what JJ did because he can get to the basket and create for himself.
Totally. And this was a guy who was leading the Rookie of the Year odds in Vegas 3 months into the season until Jared McCain really took off, and then he got hurt and kind of all flipped around, and Castle kind of got going and his minutes dropped. But it's like this is what we talk about for years. The Lakers need shooters. You have a shooter fall to you, and the first thing you want to do is get him off the team. So did he handle it well with the whole I'm not, don't really want to play, and it was kind of weird vibe when he came back, and that was a completely odd situation where he got traded and then came back. And I'm sure JJ's had his mind with they acquired Luka and they're dealing with all that and meshing all the players.
Sure.
But this is a season where it's like Knecht could be a really valuable piece, and if you are going to trade him, back to what I said earlier, don't trade him now. I mean, get his value up, and then you're gonna get a huge return for Dalton Knecht. Or you sit with him and you get a superstar young player, but a really good player on the bench.
That's all you need from him, right? You just need him to be a contributor. He's a number 17 pick. It's going to take a second to figure it all out, but I do think at the end of the day, if you told me if the dust settled, and I don't know how fans would feel about this, if the dust settled and they kept Knecht and they kept that first rounder, I think that would be a signal of, yeah, there's life beyond 2025, 2026. And there's a time when you say, I'm putting all my chips in the center of the table. And there's other time you're like, I got to fold and live to see another day.
Totally. Would you, so if I saw people debating this online, would you, but before free agency, if you would have said Dorian Finney-Smith, 4-year, $53 million deal, or LaRavia and Ayton, would you have taken that?
Well, say it one more time.
What the Lakers got with LaRavia getting the 2-year 12 and Ayton getting the 2-year 16.8 or 16.6, it basically for Dorian Finney-Smith. Do you think the Lakers got better with those two, like an aggregate of two players, or do you think if Finney-Smith came back, they would be better?
This isn't a knock on DFS, but this is more, they're so desperate for a center. They had to have the center, and that's kind of that's the sway, right? The sway is, I mean, you could have kept Dorian Finney-Smith and got DeAndre Ayton. You could have accomplished both of those goals, but I think they're much better off with what they have today than where they were a week ago, because they just didn't have any big. I mean, you had to have a big. And the Jake LaRavia, I mean, to be honest with you, I think what I like about it is he's got high upside, again, low risk, young player. Are there going to be times where you're like, okay, well, this, isn't working out as planned. I wish we had a vet that was in there. Sure. I'm sure that's the case, but I do think this is a wiser move than doing some of the moves. They feel a little less desperate to me. I think that's what I'm talking. I think that they're a little bit more strategic and a little less desperate so far. And it doesn't mean I don't want anybody to think for a second here that I'm trying to tell people that they're going to be the favorites coming in next year. They're not. I could name you 3 or 4 teams, probably 4 teams right now that just have a better roster than the Lakers. Can the Lakers outplay their roster? Sure. Can Luka have an MVP type of season next year? Honestly, I'm expecting it. I think he will have an MVP type of season next year. Can they make other moves? Of course they can. But I think at the end of the day, what's most important to me is they just don't seem like they're as desperate as they've been in the past.
Do you agree with Vegas? Vegas has them as the 4th favorites in the West behind Oklahoma City, Houston, and Denver, and they're 7th overall.
I think those 3 are locks to be top 4 and top 3 in the West. And then I think there's 3 or 4 other teams that could be the 4th best team. I think Dallas can be the 4th best team. I think Golden State, predicated on what they do, you always have to talk about the Warriors, because look what they did after they got Jimmy Butler. Now they got a lot of questions. What are they going to do with Kuminga? There's a lot of things out there. Clippers, I think, got better in the offseason. Nobody's really talking about them. I think that let's put it this way. I think Lakers are top 5 in the West. I don't think they're a lock at number 4.
Okay. I understand Oklahoma City being above them. Obviously, I get Denver, even though it makes me sick. I mean, they did have a nice offseason. I think they improved trading Porter Jr. and getting Cam.
Denver had a really nice offseason. I think Denver, a lot of the small moves that they made. Didn't Tim Hardaway Jr. go there as well?
Yeah, and Bruce Brown
went there. Valanciunas went there. Yep.
They had a nice – I'm not believing in Houston yet. I got to see it. I feel like this team – maybe it's just me. Kevin Durant at this point, it's like we've never seen him be the one on a team that won. Yes, he was the one on Golden State, but I put that as a caveat. That team was stacked. That's when Steph Curry was a top 3, top 5 player at the time with him. So even though Kevin Durant was the one, I have a hard time. I haven't seen him do it. He didn't do it in Phoenix, and he didn't do it in Brooklyn. So but I got to see that before I really say it. Everyone's just assuming that Thompson's going to get better, which I think he will. He's a really good player, but I think there's some things there. And yeah, like
I'll say this just real quick on the KD thing. I think this is the first time for KD he's back in a real situation where there's structure. And I think his problem in Brooklyn, and listen, he has as much to create. He's the creation of what Brooklyn was. He's also a big creation of what happened in Phoenix. I think this is back to KD gets to go do what he does best. And everybody, now there's other people that are going to play their roles. He had a little bit of that. He had a lot of that when he was with the Warriors. He had most of that when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though, obviously they gave away, they traded Harden and everything else. So it's not apples to apples. This is, I think, the first time in about 5 years for KD, he gets to go back to just being Kevin Durant. Ime Udoka is a phenomenal coach. I think the reason why people like the Rockets, a piece of that is to do with KD, but I think it's all the other pieces that they have as well.
Yeah, I can see it too. Kevin Durant's a phenomenal player. I mean, they're going to be a good team.
You don't like him. Just say you don't like KD.
I'm not as high on Kevin Durant. Everyone's putting the Thunder and them in the Western Conference Finals. I just don't see that. I'd have Denver ahead of them. I think the Lakers are right there in striking distance. If you want to put them 4, I'd probably put them 3 right now. Minnesota feels like they beat the Lakers, so they can talk all they want. But I do feel like if the Lakers had a center, which they have now, that series might be a little bit different. Feel like they didn't get.
I forgot about Minnesota. Yeah, I forgot.
Sound better to me. They're just kind of staying stagnant. The Clippers. I'm kind of over the Clippers. I mean, how many times can you rely on Kawhi Leonard and James Harden to win you playoff games? Feels like they do the same thing every year, even though they have a good roster. And then on the Dallas thing, yes, if Dallas is completely healthy, they'll be phenomenal. But it's hard for me. Kyrie Irving's probably going to miss all next year, if not, or most of it. Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis. I mean, you got a lot of veterans there who have had injury histories and a lot of pressure on Cooper Flag just to come in and be great immediately. I think the Lakers are sitting in a good spot where if you hold on to these picks, you hold on to Knecht, first rounders, you're sitting.
So you say don't go. You're thinking don't make a move for now. You're thinking add that one more piece, which what? Okay, real quick, what do you think of Horford?
I think for the 5.1 million, I think that'd be great. Give you some center depth.
I think so too.
You don't need just one center. If Ayton gets hurt, you're back.
No, you gotta have another center.
Yeah. So I would take Horford, but I would wait instead of making the big move now. See what you have. See if LaRavia can develop into a defender. See if Knecht can become a really good shooter. All this kind of stuff, and then at the deadline, if you're sitting in that 3, 4, 5 seed kind of
make a move from there. Yeah.
And you feel like injuries happen, unfortunately, other teams, like just see where you're at. And then if you have a terrible first half, wait till the following year. If you're within striking distance and you feel like there's one more move to make, I think that would work well for the Lakers.
You think LeBron will make if just as we kind of go through the rest of the summer, what I don't know if it's make more of a stink about it. But how do you think LeBron reacts the rest of the summer if the Lakers? That's it. They sign Ayton and then they get one more big as a backup. Do we hear from Bron again, or you think there's still be some noise?
I think we're always going to hear from LeBron. I think LeBron, to what you kind of said earlier, I think it's definitely a different part of his career where it's odd because he's still playing at an extremely high level. But this is Luka's team, and whatever team LeBron's been on, it's been his team. Number one, whether that was prime Kyrie or Chris Bosh or Dwayne Wade, it's always been LeBron's team. And with Lakers' new ownership, I think they're kind of like, yeah, LeBron, we love you, but this is at the end of the day, we're here to make Luka happy and make sure looking good for the future. So I'm sure we'll hear more from LeBron. I don't know what he's totally going to say because Ayton definitely is a win now and possibly for the future because maybe the Lakers find their franchise center if we're looking through, purple and gold sunglasses, or if he sucks, then you're kind of back in the position next year. But I'm sure we'll hear from LeBron. Do you think we'll hear from LeBron?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if LeBron directly, but indirectly. I mean, it's happened a lot since his 52.6 player option, so I'm assuming so. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, will he be down at Summer League because of Bronny? Will we hear from him indirectly or directly? Probably. I put this in here because that's your guy, D'Lo. They're not going to miss Kyrie as much as you think. They're going to be top 5 if healthy. the Mavs look good on paper. They do look good on paper. I think your biggest question mark is just health.
Yeah.
Everyone is sleeping on I'm not sleeping on San Antonio. I think San Antonio is going to be wildly improved. If Wemby stays healthy, they can be a force to deal with. I feel like he's getting to the point where he'll be an MVP candidate as long as he stays healthy. And they got some other people coming in as well to help. And they got a ton of young studs as well. Do the hosts read the chat? We do not. Nope. Do not read the chat at all. If you put that, then I'm going to put it up there. All right, brother. Well, I know 4th of July coming. Am I doing a show tomorrow? What am I doing? I still haven't decided yet.
What if you intro the show with some fireworks? You out there in Solana Beach, light them off, get everyone excited.
Get arrested. Yep. Hurt myself. Sure.
Listen.
Whatever it takes.
They don't know. There's a lot of I've been to your office. There's a lot of stuff over there. They don't know who did it.
No, they don't know who did it. They don't know who did it.
Were you big firework guy growing up?
Growing up in good old El Cajon.
Good old El Cajon, where it was illegal.
When you say firework guy, no. Was I out there, going across the border and grabbing every firework that you could think of and then lighting it? Probably not. I wasn't doing that. But where we were, 4th of July, I went to Granite Hills High School. So where we lived, Granite Hills is where they shoot off the fireworks, and it's probably a mile away. So we had like the best seat in the house. I mean, I could have sold seats for $25 a pop and really made some good money as a kid, but I wasn't smart enough to do that. So 4th of July was always my favorite holiday because of that, but I was not out there. I wasn't slinging fireworks. I could see you going across the border and coming back with truck full of illegal fireworks.
I actually ruined fireworks for the whole family because
good job, Sammy. Good job, brother.
My grandparents lived in Missouri. Quick thing, never get out of here. Anyway, I bought a bunch of fireworks. I didn't read the box because I was like, I don't care. And so I lit it off, and I thought it was like a little fountain, and it was a mortar shot. It kicked the rock out. It started firing at the house. So we had a duck. Everyone had a duck. The whole family.
That's enough, Sammy. That's
everyone was like freaked out. I'm like, guys, it's a great story. It was a great experience, and everyone's fine. So
you scared the hell out of your grandparents. Your parents probably thought. What did we do with our kid? What did we do? We thought we had this perfectly planned, and then Sammy goes to scare his entire family. Come on.
Listen, if I wish we would have had it on video. Because it would have probably went viral on World Star, but
All right, brother. We will we'll see you next Thursday, and let's see what happens between now and then. And of course, as always, if something goes down, we'll be on it. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate you coming on, brother.
Of course, Alan, you're the best. Thank you, everybody.
All right, that is Sammy Long. Good work, buddy. This guy letting out fireworks, scaring the hell out of his family. What are we doing here, Sammy? The hell are we doing here? Love his insight. He's doing a phenomenal job, so I hope you guys enjoy when he comes on. All right, shout out. Got to give a shout out to one of our partners. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Lexus Santa Monica. If you're in the market for a new car, LexusSantaMonica.com. Just go to the website, LexusSantaMonica.com. Here's why I've been driving Lexus for over 15 years. They're quality cars, literally beautifully built. They're reliable cars. I have 180,000 miles on this current Lexus that I have. Typically when I buy a car, period, I'm probably going to have it long-term. I'm not somebody that needs a new car every couple of years, and that's okay. If that's somebody else's strategy, they want a new car every couple of years, all good with that. Not only do you get the quality, not only do you get the reliability, you also get luxury. You want to feel good in your car, go look at what Lexus has. Like I mentioned, it's a little bit of a long-term investment for me. Why Lexus Santa Monica? Well, I can introduce you to the owner/general manager, and I'm going to put his email address up here. If you're in the market for a car, I cannot encourage you more than to reach out to Matt Unger over at Lexus Santa Monica and let him help you. Let him kind of guide you, put you in the right direction. Maybe the current situation you're in, you're not happy with the lease that you're currently in. You want a new car. You're interested in the used market. They have a pre-owned lot right across the street. If you're in the market of a car, trust Slee, trust this channel, and trust LexusSantaMonica.com. We can help you get into the car that you're looking for. They are promoting the 2025 all-electric Lexus RZ. Lexus, SantaMonica.com. All right, let's get back to some of our topics here. Topics-wise, the only thing I really have left is a couple things on the NBA, and then we're going to call it a day. I pulled this up here. Expect this over the next couple of days. A record-breaking transaction. There's going to be 7 teams that are dealing. League sources tell The Athletic Rockets and Suns are working on expanding the Kevin Durant trade into a deal that would involve a league record. 7 teams. Other teams involved in negotiations at the moment include the Hawks, Nets, Warriors, Lakers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves League say no trade is imminent and details are being ironed out as of Wednesday night. That was yesterday, so we'll see what happens moving forward with that. I know there's a little bit of sign and trades going on, part to do with the Clint Capella to the Rockets, so there's a lot of moving parts, so expect that. Okay, another thing that went down yesterday, the Knicks finally have a head coach. Mike Brown will take over the team. By the way, I don't think Mike Brown's a bad coach. I don't know if Mike Brown's going to accomplish, take the Knicks to the next level. If there's ever a window for the Knicks, by the way, they had an unbelievable window this past season. Dame is out from obviously from the Bucks. Tyrese Halliburton is out for the Pacers. Tatum is out for the Boston Celtics, and they're completely rebuilding. If there's ever a window for the New York Knicks, it's this upcoming season to not just compete in the East, but to come out of the Eastern Conference. We'll find out if Mike Brown is the right coach. I know there was a lot made of this. I think where the Knicks kind of looked stupid is they didn't feel like they had a plan. They approached the market. They thought Tom Thibodeau, nope, this isn't going to be the guy for us. That's fine. But then they went after 4 or 5 coaches that already had jobs, and 4 or 5 coaches were like, thank you, but no thank you. So what the Knicks do from here, we'll find out. But obviously that process was a little bit all over the place. Okay, let's take a look at just a couple of comments, and then we'll call it a day. Call it a day from here. Miami is asking for a lot. They should ask for a lot. They, I don't think they're in a desperate situation. If they could take advantage of the Lakers, then they'll try to do it. And the question is going to be for the Lakers, will they hold their ground and be responsible, or will they, take a chance and say, no, this is worth it. We want Andrew Wiggins right now. We do think we could compete in the Western Conference. Rui's on an expiring contract, and maybe they don't value Knecht as much as some other people do, and they think it's worth it. By the way, first rounder is going out as well. Any news on LeBron, on James' knee surgery? I just know this. I know that he had that procedure and that he'll be good to go for training camp. At least that's what was reported probably about a couple of weeks ago or so. Appreciate all the supers, everybody. Thank you for throwing these supers in. Let's get a couple of these lives going here. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Let me see. This is all assuming LeBron doesn't show a big drop off the season, which is very possible. Of course it's possible. Listen, here's the kind of the reality with the Lakers situation is what LeBron has done up to this point may never happen again in the history of the sport, the history of the NBA, to play 22 seasons, to still be this good at this point, to still be in this great a shape, to still be in the conversation for second team, first team, just the fact that all that is still happening. Of course anything can happen in regards to that. Patience is a virtue. Yeah, I think, I think there's a lot that will signal that the Lakers are looking towards the future, or the Lakers are, listen, they also, if they do make a move, they also may just feel that they have a good enough team to really compete. And that's okay too. But we'll find out what they do in the next couple of weeks here. Third in the West last year without a center. You haters sound so ridiculous. RK, I don't think people are being haters. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. I think you're going to need Deandre Ayton to really kind of resurrect who he is and take his game to another level. That's number one. You got to also factor in LeBron will be 41 by the time we get to 2026. And will LeBron still be the same player as he was last year? Okay, that's a fair question to have. You also got to factor in, and I think this is important as well, you got to factor in what happened to the rest of the West. The West is Denver's better. Houston's better. OKC will be better. They're bringing back everybody. And they just won an NBA championship. So there's really no pressure on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Dallas, if healthy, San Antonio will be better. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. It has less to do with, Lakers were a number 3 seed without a center. Now they just got a center and everything's going to change. I think there's a lot more to it than just they got a center. You got to look at kind of the whole scope of things. All right, are we done? I think we're done. How is Denver better? Denver is better because I think Cam Johnson will be a Michael Porter Jr., I think, was reaching a point where things were kind of expiring with Denver. They got more depth with Bruce Brown, with Tim Hardaway Jr., Christian Brown, I think, will be a better player. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. It seems like whatever issues they were having in the front office and coaching, that's away. I think those are some reasons why Denver will be better. All right, my people, thank you very much for coming on. At this point, I still have no idea if I'm doing a show tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I'm going to be a game time decision. Do you guys ever see those? We all got, in the NBA, we have game time decisions. Right now, I'm a game time decision for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If we end up doing a show, awesome. If we don't, obviously happy 4th. And we'll see what happens here in regards to the rest of the day. And if there's some other NBA stories that come out or Lakers sign a player or whatever the case is. Thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Really, really fun show. Please subscribe to the channel. Shout out to our partners. Thank you to everybody. And we will see you maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. We'll find out.